I had a picture of a person who used heroin in my head, and that was not aligning with my daughter. I can never even describe the pain of losing Mariah. It wasn't something that happened 10 years ago. It's something that happens every single moment. Like every day I wake up and she's not here.
Mariah is an augmented reality app that speaks truth to power, giving a voice to those lost while hidden in plain sight. In 2020, 2 artists virtually hacked into New York's Metropolitan Museum using AR to digitally replace Sackler donated items with personal tributes to victims of the opioid epidemic. The Sacklers have donated millions of dollars to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. In return, several galleries bear their name. Creating virtual memorials, the Mariah app explores AR's potential to revise historical narratives and its ethical implications.
The Mariah Project is a protest. It's a protest that can never be stopped, and there is where the power lies in it. No matter how much money you have, you can't stop the Mariah Project because she lives in a realm that they have yet figured out how to own.
It felt kind of amazing that just, a small team of us could take over a space like that.
To be part of this change, for the next person to say, this is what happened to my family. I'm going to do this so that it doesn't happen to your family.
I started to realize something that I've forgotten, and that is that art is fucking scary to the system.
Mariah, in its current state, is a smartphone app that puts augmented reality over your real world. So it augments the world around you with new narratives of truth or multi-layered narratives. And in the case of Mariah, it serves as a virtual memorial for her and for others who have died of the opioid epidemic.
Not just letting her life be about how she died. She was so much more than that. That was like a moment in time. Yes, there were many bad moments leading up to that, but there were so many good moments. There was so much joy and laughter in her life. She was fucking funny.
Yeah, she was a ruthless friend, right? Just would always fight for you, say the things that you didn't want to hear but needed to hear. And I think our relationship was I think there was a good balance between that, ridiculousness and shenanigans and getting into a ton of trouble. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. I was going to say a fuck ton of trouble because we did all of that. But then there was also, the deep, just relentless love and aggressive love is a good way to describe it, I think, because I think that she was a person who found a lot of meaning in things and lived with intention in a lot of ways. And so I think knowing that she is still being used intentionally and with meaning, I think that would mean a lot to her.
People think that the opioid epidemic, I think, has gone away. But it's ramping up, actually. We're losing more and more people. And it feels overwhelming and at times hopeless. There have been some recent losses where it's just been no. When is this going to stop? When is it going to even slow down? And it seems like it's never going to.
On September 19th of 2014, I found my brother Joey dead in my home from an overdose to an addiction we didn't even know that he had. And that moment changed my life forever. It changed the trajectory of the way that I look at the world around me. We have to reframe this as a human issue. A person with substance use disorder, that makes it a small piece of their life. When I say addict, that is all encompassing. That is a label that I'm putting on you.
It could be anybody. It could be this amazing 17-year-old girl who was my daughter, or it could be the housewife down the street. It could be the doctor over there. It could be anybody at all. And that's what this work will allow people to see, is it's not what you think it is.
Why Mariah? Mariah, well, first off, I think we need to understand that Mariah is my brother. Mariah is every single person that is struggling with substance use disorder. It is every person that has died from this disease. She stands in for the many.
You know, if you can save one person, right? If you can talk to one person and make them not use that one day, then that's a huge success. But it's like a grain of sand on the beach, you know? There are so many other people, and I think that we need aggressive harm reductionist legislation. I think we need to stop policing people, policy reform that attacks pharmaceutical industries and the wealth generated, and I really see that as the only long-term sustainable option to end all of these deaths.
One of the questions again is, why should I care about this? How does the life of someone that died from what they would consider drug abuse, I wouldn't use words like that, but if they would, why does that matter to me? Well, it should matter to you because an overwhelming majority of folks that died from OxyContin died because they hurt their knee playing soccer, or they got into a car accident, or they cut their finger and had to get stitches, and their doctor felt safe prescribing them one of the most potent opioid medications ever made. And they felt comfortable because the Sacklers made them feel comfortable through their marketing techniques.
Oxy was a dream drug for doctors and pharma companies alike. After years with no new treatments for pain patients, doctors finally had a powerful new drug that really helped, and it was non-addictive to boot. But it was all an illusion. What was being touted as safe, in fact, had the same addictive properties as heroin. A Justice Department report found that as early as 1996, pharma companies were made aware that Oxy was being crushed and snorted recreationally, but continued to promote it as less addictive. In the following years, sales exploded, and a new drug epidemic began. By the time legislation caught up with the issue, the damage had already been done. While Oxy was now much harder to get, many people had turned to street drugs like heroin as the more accessible option. By 2014, 75% of heroin users in treatment were found to have started with prescription painkillers. In 2007, Purdue Pharma pled guilty to felony charges of misbranding OxyContin. To date, over 600,000 people have died due to the drug epidemic, a number that continues to skyrocket.
I don't like this world where somebody can create this, can kill so many people, and then can just walk away from it. And then to know that, you know, all of the hundreds of thousands of doctors that were complicit as well, and not just the doctors, but then you go back to the FDA, so our own government was complicit in this. And it just didn't matter. I don't want to live in that world. And so instead, I'm going to live in the world where we focus on how can we help those people that have been left behind, and how can we help to prevent others from dying.
There's a movement right now amongst some activists in the United States to whitewash any wall that the Sackler name lives on. Meaning we'll just take it off the wall and somehow that's going to do something. We can never move forward until we acknowledge our past. And in America, we are very good at creating a narrative that never existed so that we can tolerate what we've done.
Shining a light on the true narrative was one of the Mariah app's main objectives, something the power of AR would allow it to do. But this journeyed into uncharted legal territory. To shine some light on those answers, Adam and Heather reached out to AR lawyer Brian Wasson.
Hi, Brian. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Heather. How you doing? So AR, augmented reality, is most simply the idea of putting digital information and superimposing it on the physical world. Being able to interact with digital things the same way we would interact with physical things. In a lot of cases, that entails creating the illusion that those digital things are actually physically present in the world around us.
So in this multi-layered narrative that right now exists in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, we've re-augmented artifacts with statistics about the opioid epidemic, simultaneously with audio from her mother about her life, her dreams, her hopes, and her experiences.
I think that's one of the strongest things that we were able to do through this work, is to be able to create a protest, create an augmentation of history, a more truthful American narrative that no one can legally yet stop us from doing.
Every medium that we have for expression was new at one point, and every time we've kind of moved on to a new mass medium, there have been growing pains, and there have been people that went too far, people didn't go far enough.
People see the AR cloud as the single most important revelation in the history of computing, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, right? In the history of computing.
An app like Mariah, which is a protest piece, an artistic piece, art protest and political protest occupy the most cherished and most central piece of First Amendment law. That's established through hundreds of years of precedent in any kind of medium, is that political speech is the most protected type of speech.
Art only really happens once the viewer says that it does. So to see Lizzie walking around today and using the app for the first time and listening to Rhonda tell stories, it was massively powerful.
Because I worked in big tech with engineers collaboratively who would say, Heather, what do you think? What do you want to build? And so it was always full of possibility. And so I think one of the nice things about being an outsider in a way is that I feel like anything is possible, for better and for worse, right? And so again, when I read about the future of the AR cloud, where it could go, who owns it, what it means for speech. And I see both sides of it. I feel like the AR cloud should be free for all, or no, maybe it shouldn't. I don't have answers necessarily yet, but I feel like it shouldn't be big tech, Google and Facebook and them deciding what it's gonna be. It should be the rest of us.
They don't understand what it means to do things for free. So when you have someone that can turn it back on them and give it away, that's power. So Mariah is power. And it's the only project I've ever worked on that right now it physically can't be stopped.
Mariah app, you put it on a particular thing in a particular place for a reason, because it conveys something. And that's why you put it there. That's your intentional, expressive choice, which suggests that that choice itself has speech ramifications and has First Amendment ramifications. That's not to say that you have the absolute liberty to do it in all senses and in all circumstances, but it means that we ought to be looking at this as content rather than as property. I caution against overreacting too much, either from the big corporation perspective or the artistic perspective.
We do need museums, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art is one of the greatest museums in the world. But if you're going to be the greatest art museum in the world, you have to show the greatest responsibility in educating the public. Museums have to be transparent.
The Sackler family's goal was capitalism.
And they have to be about the communities they're trying to serve. There's nothing that the museum can do now to rectify the fact that they've taken millions of dollars from a family that has killed 500,000 people. But what the museum can do is be transparent about where the funding came from. And maybe just say, we're sorry and we'll do better. That would be enough for me. And I think that would be enough for a lot of folks. Maybe it would be within their power to change the name permanently to the Mariah Lottie Memorial Gallery, to acknowledge that history. That's a big part of it, is acknowledging the things that we have done, talking about the part of the problem we are a part of. The artist's responsibility to humanity, to their communities, is to be documenting. We have the ability to bring form to how others feel.
This idea of freedom of speech, the idea of not causing customer confusion, the idea of being able to express oneself artistically, even if that irritates the powerful. All of those things are fundamental to our legal system, and those will continue to exist in this medium as we kind of test it out case by case.
It's a whole new world with AR like Mariah. Speaking truth to power is a power in itself. And with that power, everyone has a voice.
What's your dream? I would love to be able to do something with music, like definitely not like being a singer or anything just because I can't sing for shit. But what I really would hope that I end up doing is I really want to travel. Like I want to go outside the country and out of Newton, my comfort zone at this point. I want to go experience the world, you know. I really just want to go out and experience life.
The Mariah Project is not here to tell you how to think about this project. I'm not remotely interested in telling anyone or giving anyone an answer. You have to decide that for yourself. Take it back into the world with you. Now that you know, now that you're part of the narrative, what are you now prepared to do with it?